the part where Christians fall on the political spectrum is wherever the Bible leads you, wherever righteousness leads you, wherever following Christ and being submitted to his word, wherever that leads you, that's where you are. And it's definitely not going to be... What in the world? Okay, so that's that article. We're going to move on here. We're going to get to Rick Warren. That's what you want to know about. So this is Rick Warren right there, and we're going to get to that article. I don't have it open yet because I didn't want to read it yet. I saw some other people talk about it. I just want to read it for the first time here. I don't want to have anyone having commented on it. I don't even want to know what he has to say. Now, some people in their titles and thumbnails and wherever, they give everything away. So I kind of have an idea just from what's given away off of people's headlines. But here it is. Rick Warren's political interpretation of crucifixion draws Christians' ire. Embarrassing. All right, so what do we have here? We're just going to go right to the tweet. So this is it right here. I don't like to share pictures of Jesus on my channel. I make a point not to do that for a second commandment violation. I can talk about that more if you'd like me to later. So I will be not sharing that. I'll just read it. John 19:18. They crucified Jesus with two others, one on each side and Jesus in the middle. The guys on both sides were thieves. If you're looking for the hashtag real Jesus, not a caricature disfigured by partisan motivations, you'll find him in the middle, not on either side. All right, this is an easy one to talk about because that is the most ridiculous biblical political explanation that I've heard in a while. I can't say that I've ever heard because we've heard an awful lot of absolutely ridiculous statements this election season. But I'm moving his text over somewhere else without his pictures there. John 19:18. They crucified Jesus with two others on each side and in the middle. The guys on both sides were thieves. So he's saying we should be politically in the middle of the aisle. And it's rather interesting because for a long time I've been saying that politically speaking, we should be, you've got your Democrats, you've got your Republicans, your Christians should be over here, further right, further right, further right. And why is that? Because Republicans are liberal. Republicans are promoting all kinds of stuff. And so Christians are further to the right because Christians, like no Christian is a Democrat, obviously. That's where Democrats are at this point. They're promoting the slaughter of babies. They are promoting all the sins in Romans 1, all the LGBT nonsense, all that stuff, trans and kids, etc., etc., etc. So obviously Christians are 100% against all of that. And then Christians look at the Republican Party and they're like, wow, we're glad to see certain things happening. We're glad to see laws being created or executive orders, so kind of like decrees being said on day one that, we're male and female. We have two genders. The fact that he's even has to be said now is ridiculous. But there's a lot of acceptance of sinful things that Christians should have no part of. And so if you're going to pick a political position, it's going to be to the right. It's going to be more, closer to where Republicans used to be, but still further right. If you want to do a right to left analysis, you could do a top-down analysis too, and you should say we should be further up toward righteousness, further up toward heaven. Let's just do that if you're not comfortable with the right-left. But the part where Christians fall on the political spectrum is wherever the Bible leads you, wherever righteousness leads you, wherever following Christ and being submitted to his word, wherever that leads you, that's where you are. And it's definitely not going to be the Democrat Party, the party that promotes nothing but absolute lawlessness and absolute denial of Romans 13, law and order, denial of Romans 1, biblical morality, denial of common sense, moral sanity. They promote moral insanity, we need moral sanity. So it's certainly not them. And it's certainly not much of the things that the Republicans put up with, much of the things that the Republicans accept. It's definitely not that. And so if you're going to have to pick left, right, you're going to go further right than where the Republicans are. And obviously staying away from all of the bizarro stuff that we're seeing coming from the right with, I'm not talking that. I'm not talking your Nazi, the words we can't say on the internet, that stuff. I'm not talking that, but just uh, Republicans are too far to the left, and Democrats are far, far, far to the left. So how about just back to where Republicans used to be, like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, is kind of like closer. But no Christian should ultimately be partisan. There's always breaking with where the political party is, but everything's such a moral issue now. All right, so there's some of those thoughts. I did say I was going to wrap it up with the women preaching stuff,